Bonjour à tous. Hi, everybody. I'm here to talk again about wicked problems. How do you tackle a wicked problem? Wicked problems are not simple problems. They're not easily addressed, and I'm going to explain what they are and the three approaches we typically use to address one. Part of the challenge with a wicked problem is, as you might have guessed, it's not very simple. When we have a simple problem, we know how to solve that problem pretty easily. Everyday problems are easily solved. You have an issue, and you can fix that issue with a fairly straightforward solution. And it may work, it may not, but it's a fairly easily defined thing. I have an issue, in this case, mobility. I have a solution, in which case, a skateboard. It may or not be safe, may or may not be safe, but it's a good, effective solution. But wicked problems are very different, because a wicked problem is not easily quantified or solved. So a wicked problem has a lot of unusual characteristics. You only get to fix it once. If you don't fix it properly, you probably die. The planners are embroiled in the problem. There's no easy way to test it, and there's very seldom a right or wrong answer. There's just better or worse. We have many examples, such as, for example, climate change, rated the #1 problem in 2007 by the World Economic Forum. So let's pick climate change as an example. It's a wicked problem. If we don't fix it, we're extinct. It's very hard to experiment. We don't have like A/B testing where we can try out half the planet and see if that works. And there are typically three different approaches to solving a wicked problem. The first is what's called the authoritative approach. You give a few people you trust the ability to go fix that problem. The problem is that an authority may not have all the perspectives needed. And in Western liberal democracies, we tend to wait for an authority or a hero to emerge who's going to come along and save us. And we can then coalesce around that person. And this tends to work very well in individualistic societies, but when we're faced with really big problems like population, the heroes we choose tend to be disagreeable. The population of the planet has doubled in my lifetime, literally doubled in my lifetime. I want to tell you about disagreeability. This is Wilt Chamberlain. He was an amazing basketball player, but he was terrible at free throws. And if you're good at basketball, you get fouled a lot, and you have to make those scores. And he needed to get his free throw ratio up. It was about 20%. It needs to be about 60% to do well. So he went to see this guy, Rick Barry, who himself was making roughly 90% of free throws. He was incredible, and he did this by shooting underhand, which was unconventional. And Barry was considered disagreeable. He didn't like people. He didn't get along well with them. When they high-fived him for being fouled, he'd say, "Shut up, I haven't scored yet." So Chamberlain said, "Fine, I'm going to learn from Rick Barry." And his scoring went through the roof. He got to above 60%. He scored 100 points in a game, a record at the time. And then in a year said, "I'm going to stop doing this." He, quote, said, "It makes me feel like a sissy." The problem with authorities is that when we find a disagreeable authority, they're iconic, they barrel forward, but they may not do everything right. I was arguing with someone that we should cancel plastic meals from McDonald's, and they said, yes, but then where would poor kids get their toys? Never occurred to me. If you come up with campaign slogans by an authority that says no more meat, no more cars, one child per, you have a pretty bad political campaign. It probably has some unfortunate consequences. So the campaign slogans of authoritarian solutions to wicked problems tend to be really unpalatable. The second solution, the second approach is to be competitive. You pit several groups against one another to solve a wicked problem. But the problem with this competition thing is now you have confrontation in which sharing is discouraged. And we're seeing in today's political climate a widening of political polarization, even in the last 20 years, that's incredible. So competition doesn't result in goals of a shared solution or information sharing. So we can't use authority because they're jerks, and we can't use competition because we're polarized. So then it turns out to be collaboration is the third approach. You have to engage all the stakeholders, listen to everyone, make 85,000 binders of things that people don't read. But this takes time and reduces urgency. And so if you look at something like Occupy Wall Street, which was supposed to be a collaborative solution, it quickly devolved into a wide number of voices. And what you have is a rowboat with everyone rowing in different directions, and you're just spinning around in circles. So collaboration probably doesn't work either. Joseph Tainter thought about this problem a lot. In a study on the study of the collapse of complex societies, he showed that when humans create a solution to a wicked problem, they do so with bureaucracy that actually consumes more energy than the problem in the first place, leading to societal collapse. And this is well documented across 17 examples. He's got 3 big case studies. So what I'm left with, unfortunately, is that the really wicked problem we face, ironically, is figuring out how to solve wicked problems as a society. The wicked problem we need to confront is a new way to confront wicked problems. And without that, we are extinct. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.